What's happening, everybody? We're back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, and I'm here with the episode 15 season finale review of DC Universe's Doom Patrol. And as always, if you have not seen the episode yet, please come back. There will be spoilers. We have reached the end, and I brought along the homie who's been with me through this whole ride, Mr. Winston A. Marshall.
What's good, man?
What's happening? We have made it through all these episodes, man. You want to give your thoughts first, or you want to get a breakdown of the episode?
I'm gonna go ahead and just give my overall thoughts.
Give me overall thoughts
of the season.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Of the season.
Let's get into the episode. I am so thoroughly impressed. I really am. Considering that this has been the year of finales, man. Game of Thrones, Boo Boo, Avengers Endgame, dope. Star Wars is coming. We'll see how that goes. And even a lot of the Arrowverse shows, how their season finales have kind of wrapped up. I've been just mixed, like, oh cool, oh that's blows, but this is one of the few shows that got it right from start to finish, and I'm really, really impressed with that.
If you go back and watch all of the reviews, when I did the first review by myself, episode 1, I wasn't too sure of what to expect. I knew this show was going to embrace its weirdness, its wackiness, and I didn't know exactly how much we were going to get out of it. But now, you heard in the reviews, my opinion of the show elevated consistently. And it has stayed the same throughout, and it is a top show. They did something that hasn't been done well with a lot of comic book TV shows, and it's adapted to not just seem cheesy in its adaptation. It worked. It isn't like it followed the pages of the comic books per se, but you felt like you were reading issues of a comic book each episode you watched. Yep. So I rocked with it heavy. So let's get into this episode 15 review. It all kicks off with Mr. Nobody doing a recap of the entire season like a giant poem. Remember, he has been the narrator of this story. He has somewhat been controlling everything. This is the dopest shit ever. We finally doing a review.
Just all the shit we're doing. What this
all
is an Instagram story.
It's an Instagram story. Live AF.
We're doing the
review.
Just this is some meta shit for everybody.
This is
right
just
now.
Meta for everybody.
Super meta, because this is a meta ass series.
That's one thing about this show. I'm not gonna even go step by step. This shit is so fucking meta. He calls it, so when Mr. Nobody is doing the narration of the whole season, at the end he goes, this is the best time. He says the best timeline ever. I wrote it down. I couldn't realize. And it was funny he said it because, of course, everything has timelines and different, times and stuff is happening. And as soon as we say that, we go to figure out what Niles had told the team the episode before about how he caused all their accidents, all the reason they are the way they are. And he basically said, I wanted your immortality, and then Mr. Nobody ships him away out of the white space and says, look, I want to do all this too. I want to guest host on the View. I want to become the next Bachelor. I was like, live your life, man. Live your fucking truth, bro. You want to be the next Bachelor in them goddamn equestrian pants. I believe you can do it, because those are equestrian racist pants.
And he looked like a checkered flag, dog. He looked like he was at the end of the race.
I don't think he looked like a checkered flag. I think that was something I brought up to Winston while we were watching the episode. They put various patterns on him in that white space, which gave you ever seen, like, it's not a Rorschach test. I don't know what the name of it is. When you look at this pattern so long, it moves.
Yeah, well, that's why they tell you specifically when you're filming not to wear any sort of, like, lines or anything like that. Unless they're big, bold lines, because essentially what ends up happening, the gradients just they start to move. Your eyes can't really keep track.
It won't focus.
So it looks like a Magic Eye. If you guys remember Magic Eyes from the 90s, I don't know if anybody, like most of the people live AF are over in Asia, correct? I don't know if y'all ever heard of a Magic Eye before. That's crazy. It is so meta in this right now. I'm sorry. I'm just like hyped, son.
So what's crazy about it though, and also with that, they do that. They tell you don't wear those lines, but also one of the things they try not to do ever in any TV show and movie, it's a rarity. It's to film in an all. Leave that right there, because I wanted that for a purpose. Leave that out. It's filming in an all white space. It's a rarity to do that. Yeah. Because it's very difficult. Yeah. To get everything, because you have to do what's called a white balance. Right. And to balance that on top of what Mr. Nobody had on, that was a visual effect and a cinematography move that is done flawlessly that a lot of people will not pick up on.
You know what's interesting? I wouldn't actually be surprised, based off of a lot of the special effects they're using anyway, if they were shooting on a green or a blue set
to make it white,
and they changed the color white.
It's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I filmed on sets where they have had all
I've
white,
seen it too.
And
it's hard as fuck.
It's hard as fuck, but also they make sure they tell all the actors not to wear white. So that being a specific choice by the way they did it says a lot to me. we heard something. We go back in 1961 in the ant farm, and we see Niles rolling through the halls of the ant farm with Joshua, who ends up taking over Doom Manor later on. And he says, I have some more test subjects for your Immortus project. Why does that name come up and why does it sound familiar? Let's go to episode 3, Puppet Patrol.
General Immortus, son.
All of it comes back around. It all ties in. It's those little bitty things you have to piece and put together. We see Rita now, after Mr. Nobody put everybody back in some places. Rita and Larry are living together. Rita got students and all this shit, and she's teaching a drama class in high school, which is the greatest thing ever, because it was really how life would be if Rita was, if a woman who was a quote-unquote star in the 50s, who didn't really make it, was trying to teach a drama class to teenagers. One little black girl was like, basically, bitch, gonna have several seats, which I was
Yo,
like,
why is it that my people, got no chill? Like
zero chill.
It was like, that's why you really have to commit. It's like, bitch, you ain't been ain't nobody heard of your ass.
Bitch, we just taking this all easy. Hey, you acting like this real life. Fuck out of here. But the best part is Rita. So the little black girl and there's a little white boy supposed to be doing the scene, and they don't have any real chemistry. It doesn't emote. It doesn't translate. Blah blah blah. Rita's like, let me show you how to do it. So Rita go up to the little white boy and was like, you want to just take me in your arms and devour me like a whole snack? My man's has the best reaction.
She goes, and scene. Look, my man's acting like he got gray sweatpants on, just talking about
covering them hands. Shouts out to every dude in high school or grammar school that's had to cover up themselves when they had that unnecessary erection. You like go up to the front of the board. You like, I'm gonna take this social studies book with me real quick.
Hey, I don't know if y'all are the same way. I still like every dude gets morning wood, right? But you have like a situation where like you just a little bit more, just like the testosterone's higher in the morning in general. I had first period all of freshman year of high school, honors geometry. And it had, like, all the fine-ass nerdy girls in the class, too. So they'd be like, I was the one that was, like, figuring shit out pretty easy. So the teacher always asked me to come up, like, nah, I'm good. I can tell you from back here.
I tell you from the distance. I ain't got to tell you
to come up to the board. Like,
bro,
that's good.
I grew up in the hood. And so I grew up with the generation of girls who were thick as fuck. In 7th and 8th grade, they were like built like brick shit houses, as we would call them.
Brick shit house.
It's like a brick shit house.
Why a shit house?
Nigga, I don't know. You was thinking shit. Remember you always expressed she thinking shit?
Okay, I get
brick
it.
shit house.
But see, that sounds terrible. Because a
does
brick house sounds great, but a brick shit house
sounds.
That sounds like an outhouse made of bricks.
Well, it does, but it's not that case. But like, basically, the girls I grew up with were fucking beautiful, and they were just blossomed in just Coke bottle shape at 14, 15. And so they'd be like, Jay, can you come solve this mathematic problem that you probably the only one in the class know?
Nope.
And I was like, I can do it from a piece of paper in my
You
desk.
You do it from there. You go. It's a cylinder. It's a cylinder.
It's a long cylinder right now.
Cylinder is like this long.
This long. It's kind of thick. It's dense. It's personal. It's personal. It's dense.
We're real off base here. What the fuck are we talking about? Oh, teaching high school kids.
So yeah, so basically we go through various points in the episode where we see how their lives have been affected after the fact of Niles admitting it. Even to the point where we saw some of their origins prior to their origins. We saw how Niles is sitting in a Doom Manor with a brain in a case, and Vic's mother walks in, and he's telling her what he's gonna do. We see how at one point Niles goes to Star Labs and sees Silas, who has blood all over him, and Silas confronts him and was like, "You think my wife wasn't gonna tell me what the fuck you's up to, fam?" We even see how Jane basically goes to the new Doom Manor, if you want to call it that, and gets a metahuman cure from Joshua. She wasn't supposed to get it at first. She's supposed to take it in doses and everything, and Josh was like, we're going to follow your thing. Flick grabs it and says, fuck it, we out. And Jane pulls a junkie move and mainlines the shit out of that whole thing. She's just the thing. All Jane needed to do, which I would have loved they did, she put the rubber band on, right, to make your vein pop out. Because if you ever had your blood drawn or had to take a shot, they put a band on to help the pressure, blah, blah, blah. All she needed to do was go. I'd have been like, yep. And she was on the school bus. That's completely a hype rule. Now, why are you looking at me like I'm the only one that's ever had to see this happen in a...
Just the way you described it so particularly. Is there something you would like to share with the class? Like,
I have no track marks.
Is there some personal experience you would like to share?
Nope.
You got them on the back of your knee, nigga? Is that what that shit is?
Which I never understood.
Is it in between your toes?
How the fuck do you shoot heroin in the back of your knee? Like, ain't you worried about hitting some shit in between your toes? You got to walk on it. That's got to be uncomfortable.
Bro, that's some junky magic. That's what that shit is right there.
So basically, after all said and done, Mr. Nobody feels like he's won, but he doesn't know what he's won. And brings back two of the best characters ever in this series. The prophetic cockroach that from episode 1 was like, oh, praise God, it is happening. Thank you. And my nigga comes back.
Hold up, my nigga, we finally got a name for the cockroach.
His name is Ezekiel. But then, my nigga, my ride or die, my homeboy, Admiral Whiskers show back up. And how you know Admiral Whiskers is black? Because as soon as he come back in the scene, he squeaks and it says, sup. It ain't say, what's up? Hey, fellas, it's sup. You know what the head cock back?
Yeah, right.
Sup.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, here was the thing that was interesting. So all of a sudden Ezekiel starts, hyping up fucking Mr. Nobody, being like, hey man, like you did all this stuff, but you ain't done enough yet. Like, you're God. He's like, no, I'm not God. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, not at all. It's like, well, then you out here doing God's work, and we need to finish this goddamn thing.
God got a plan, plus my man. Like, those apocalyptic dudes always be crazy as shit. Like, God want us to kill all these niggas.
Kill all them niggas.
All them motherfuckers. God want everybody gone. He said ain't built no ark, no shit. Just take this bitch to the ground. Like, what? Oh, I forgot something to bring up. When we see 2014 at Star Medical Labs, when we see Niles having a conversation with Silas, and basically Silas is telling Niles, you ain't shit, I ain't shit, we ain't shit together. He said, I just had to put together my athletic, smart, wholesome, chocolate, delicious son. Me and Winston looked at each other and was like, did he just call his son delicious?
I don't understand that one.
Nigga,
that one was a little confusing to me.
I have a son and a daughter, okay? My son is phenomenal. My daughter is amazing. I might call my daughter beautiful. My son is handsome as hell. I will never call either one of my kids bring a little delicious ass over here.
That was a very peculiar.
You're going to take my kids from me because you're going to think I'm fucking my kids. If I tell you, you're going to think I'm bring a little delicious ass over here. Who says that?
Unless, oh shit, is Victor's middle name Delicious, nigga?
Victor Delicious Stone? That's Sumo's blackest name ever.
That's the blackest name of all time, nigga. Holy shit. My nigga Vic would have been in the goddamn XFL talking about...
What's up, baby?
No,
I'm in the XFL talking about something. Yo, I'm delicious.
Exactly. Because you can put whatever name you want on the back. This nigga got Delicious on the back. It's like, yo, every announcer be like, I'm not going to call this nigga Delicious.
No, this is how Vic cut promos in XFL like, what's up? Y'all know who I am. You go ahead and run back these touchdowns, and the other team gonna find out it's delicious.
Wait. What city was
Did
Vic
you see
from? Wait. What city was Vic from again? Originally, because I know in this show they did Detroit. Is that where is that his origin all the time?
I think so, but I guess because he was black, Detroit worked.
Bro, I'm just imagining right now, fucking like the Key and Peele like name sketch, Vic Cyborg Delicious Stone, Detroit, Michigan.
Wait, this one here, fellas, I know a lot of y'all watch this. This one here I'm gonna do, this iteration this is for the ladies. Yeah, Vic Stone, Detroit University, call me Delicious.
Jesus Christ, nigga.
I told you it was for the ladies. It wasn't for you. It wasn't for you. It's for the women watching this.
People in Asia think we're fucking crazy, dog. Like, real talk. Once again, shout out to everybody on Live AF watching this. They probably think we're out of our fucking minds.
So at a point, it happens, we find out that the chief is sorry, and and Chumbawamba, for some fucking reason, is playing loud from a painting. Nobody understands why, but it brings all the members of the patrol back together to the manor, the New Doom Manor.
I just want a quick shout out to Cliff, who is, while Jane is passed out as a junkie, constantly taking this metahuman cure, that Cliff kept bringing her food all the time.
Because we saw Cliff at a taco truck, and
he was like, nigga, what are you going to do with it?
You just sniffing. You can't even sniff a quesadilla. You're just looking at it like.
But he kept leaving her food, and I thought that was...
Because he loves...
What the hell is that?
Oh, that was that's my computer, but we only hear it.
Jesus. Nigga, is that the apocalypse?
It's a pop-up or whatever. We'll deal with it later. But...
Can you mute it?
Yeah, we can mute that.
Anyway, so he's giving her the food, but long story short, they all come together and go, we got to put an end to this. And while this is happening simultaneously, or no, I guess not yet, because they haven't gotten into the painting yet. But they find out from Niles when they get back to the manor
that he has a daughter.
Not only does he have a daughter, but that Mr. Nobody's taken the daughter. Mr. Nobody's taken
Danny
to the street
and put him in a painting.
And so he's begging them, like, she's my only thing that I care about. She's my only family left. Can y'all please, please, please help me?
And surprisingly, like, the first person to say yes is Jane. Mm-hmm. Jane was like, I'll do it for your daughter. I'll do it for Danny.
But I'm not doing it for you.
I don't give a fuck about you, fam.
But I think part of it, too, is because when she shoots herself up with the metahuman cure, all of her personalities come to this field and just pass the fuck out. And all of a sudden, Kate is walking around kind of happy in the field or whatever. But that also means she has no protection anymore.
Right.
So that's...
But at the same time, Kate doesn't really need it now because Kate's... I understand why... those are why the personalities were created. To protect little Kate. But little Kate, to an extent, doesn't need it. Even though the personalities still believe little Kate does. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I that's a whole curious question, which I know we don't have a whole lot more time left, because that I would love to get into on maybe one of your Patreon videos or something.
We can do that. We'll do that on Patreon.
Yeah.
We'll get into about Kate. We'll get into Jane, her personalities, and the protection of Kate. It'll be a Patreon exclusive, so join the Supervillain Squad. Let's get down to it, man. Basically, the patrol and chief get into painting. They go on Danny, and Ezekiel is tearing shit up. A giant Ezekiel with a giant Admiral Whiskers. So the negative spirit and Larry... they figure out a plan, also with the help of Mr. Nobody and Rita, to figure out how to get out of this world and get everybody out.
Well, because now, so here's the interesting thing. So we spent the whole series, or this whole season, being like, they all need to figure out who they are and get comfortable with themselves. Well, we find Mr. Nobody is completely falling apart. Now, all of a sudden that he's done this plan, Ezekiel and Admiral Whiskers are like fucking giant size, right? They're out here tormenting the shit, and Mr. Nobody is back to what he is, a nobody.
A nobody, getting drunk in the cabaret.
Because he's just like, you know what, I fucked up, like, they convinced me, and now all of a sudden, like, I don't know, I don't have any purpose, I don't know what's going on right now. So Rita talks to him to convince him to get his shit together.
Well, she tells him, you have to narrate the story again.
Exactly.
Because that's what's been continuing, that's what's been deriving everything we've seen. He has to narrate the story.
But on top of that, we understand that Ezekiel is a religious fanatic. So if he thinks that the voice of God is talking to him, they might be able to manipulate him, which is exactly what happens.
And the manipulation goes in a way that you didn't expect it to go.
I mean, first he's like, hey man, I'm not God, you're God. That's all this shit is. And he goes, I am a God. I absorb the power of 1,000 suns. Like... So he's just out here being like, fuck it, I'm gonna fuck up the Doom Patrol. So
in the process he does, but then the narration goes, and before Ezekiel knew it, he locked eyes with...
Well, you left out a part. So Admiral Whiskers is ready for some motherfucking revenge. He sees Cliff's ass, and he goes, bitch, you ate my mama, you're done.
Cliff was like, oh, fuck my life!
Gets eaten by the fucking rat.
Which, by the way, after he gets eaten by Admiral Whiskers, Cliff is inside him like, I didn't deserve this shit.
Like, I was a bad dad, I was a bad husband,
but
like, I tried.
Admiral Whiskers was like, I'm a fucking orphan.
You killed my motherfucker.
You killed my motherfucker. I was like, damn.
So, eventually the plan we realize is that, obviously, so Larry and the negative spirit, they can withstand radiation. The only way out of this dimension is they're going to need radiation to get out. So he starts a plan to go cut a hole open in the dimension. Yep. Whereas everybody else realizes Ezekiel's a roach. A cockroach can withstand radiation no matter what. So they end up coming up with a plan of getting swallowed by Ezekiel. Right before they're about to leave, they realize, holy fuck, Cliff is still inside Admiral Whiskers. So he will die if we don't do something about this. So that's where we get to what you were about to talk about.
The greatest narration. If you could have went into it, that ever happens. It says all of a sudden Ezekiel notices something that's been right before him all along. Something he's wanted. Admiral Whiskers. And Admiral Whiskers has his admiration at Ezekiel. At that moment, we see Admiral Whiskers literally pull his whiskers sexy. Ezekiel stroke his antennas. Admiral Whiskers, with the most sexy look on his face, was walking towards Ezekiel and says, I want to spread you like the plague, Daddy.
And so they come together, and we literally watch a giant rat and a giant cockroach make out with each other.
Like,
just tongue, just
all
nasty.
Down the goddamn throat.
So in the process, Cliff realizes this is his moment. He runs as fast as he can from Whiskers into Ezekiel's
But he realized where he's running, like, oh shit!
So finally, they're making out and whatnot. Larry realizes everybody's good, so he goes to cut the dimension open, which is going to set off a radiation chain reaction, which again, he'll be fine. But everybody inside of Ezekiel will be fine. But that's when Mr. Nobody and the Beard Hunter back in the cabaret go, so wait, What's going to happen to us?
And this shit just explodes.
Oh, shit. And then boom. And the next thing you know, we're back outside of Doom Manor.
With a brick. One brick that says Danny Brick Company, which means Danny is still around, but he has to be rebuilt.
Exactly.
As long as that one brick is there, Danny still lives.
Exactly.
And a giant... And a tiny Ezekiel still prophesizing, I am a god! Yeah. I can do... Oh, shit!
Boom! Cyborg chops his ass open with his fucking arm cannon, and out they walk, all very tiny, because obviously they came out of Ezekiel, so they were shrunken down. And so what you see is everybody comes out.
Larry's carrying them.
Well, not yet. Larry hasn't gotten there yet. So all the people that were in it. So Rita...
Jane, Cliff, the chief, and the chief's daughter.
So
now
the chief reaches out and you see his daughter, and all you see are pigtails that look very similar to Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. And lo and behold, he goes, "It's my daughter Dorothy." You never see her face, but you get to see that. Then Larry walks up. Obviously, he's giant size because he got out regularly, so he's holding them. And he's like, "I guess we got to figure this shit out." Cliff obviously is screaming like a jackass because he's like, "Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck?
No, you gotta do right.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck?" Because he was so tight.
Exactly. But then we cut back to the painting, and now instead of the picture of Danny, instead of Cyborg having murdered everybody, it's just a very tiny Mr. Nobody and Beard Hunter trapped in what looks like the white space.
And that's it. And the end of the season.
No, you forgot the soundtrack that plays at the very end.
Oh, when the shit goes down, you better be ready. When the shit goes... Cypress Hill is playing the whole time. But it's so dope. They left it on a cliffhanger where it's open to the point where we can still keep it another season going, but it also didn't leave you too open-ended. So what was your thoughts on the season finale of Doom Patrol?
I gotta give it a 5, man. Like, the real talk, they as Game of Thrones has proven, endings are hard. They are very, very hard. And they did an excellent job of wrapping up all the stories from the season, but giving you an opportunity to come back and do this for season 2 or however many seasons you want to do it. I gotta give it a 5 on wrapping everything up and in a very funny but dope-ass fashion.
Same here, man. 5. They completely did this season top to bottom. It closed the season out perfectly, and it left you wanting more for season 2. So hopefully this will get a renewal. We haven't heard anything about it, man. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. Did you rock this whole season of Doom Patrol? Didn't you? What did you like? What didn't you like? Let us know. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Let me do this for you. Find him at the swaggy blerd. THESWAGGYBLERD. Winston, I wanted to say this personally, man. Thank you for taking this ride with me, bro, throughout all of this, man. It's been great. I could have did all of it myself, and having you with it has brought an extra element to this, and I'm grateful for you. And just to let y'all know, this shit ain't done. Swamp Thing's coming out. Also, shout out to Uptime Energy, man. Make sure you check out Uptime Energy. They are natural. They give you a great boost and no crash. So make sure you are checking out Uptime Energy on Instagram at Uptime Energy, on Twitter as well. All right, man, bro. Been a blast. Yo, we've been all really ghetto and rock wild, and y'all been rocking with us the whole way through. But we will holler at y'all coming up next with Swamp Thing, man. Y'all stay tuned. Follow the channel. And make sure you check out the Patreon. We're going to do about Kate and Crazy Jane and everything. We'll holler at y'all later.
Peace.